It says upcoming, so if I refresh, it should be live. Should be. There we go. We are live now. I think that's the first thing that ever comes up when anybody hears one of these shows is, oh, yep, they are live now. So I've got to go to the... Should be. Oh, and there's the audio that I have to mute. It's a bit more of a... Even delay for us at the moment is ridiculous. Pop out chat. There we go. So that will come over here. Let's see if we can get it set before anybody comes in. Whoa, that went longer than what I thought it was going to go. Let's just do a quick test. We are live and we are up.
Yes, we are. I already got the link going. Hold on. I need to mute this.
Move that over there like that. Move that over there. We'll have to wait a few minutes before people start coming in. And then we will go from there. I can't actually see the chat from here. Might have to move the camera across a little bit. There we go. So I can see me as in where I've written test. I'll wait a few seconds to see if that bumps up a tiddly bit.
All right.
Hey, Mark's in. How are you, mate? We have an interesting one tonight. But we're going to wait until everybody starts coming in. Hey, Carl, how are you, mate? Hope everybody is good. As you can see, it's just Fernando and myself tonight. Unfortunately, Jeremy couldn't make it. He has other things on which he couldn't avoid. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it's Fernando and me. So I have no idea what's going to happen because Fernando's a bit of a deviant, as you all know, and you just don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. So I'm just trying to get everything set up and I can't see a damn thing. Or are we? So how is everybody anyway? We're going to do a part 2 to one that we've already done tonight. And there's a few more little bits and pieces to it. So some really interesting and some really juicy stuff. But we will wait until we have more people in. I think we've got 5 people in now. So I suppose we'll jump in straight into it and get going if you want. Do you want to just jump in and do the start music stuff? Yeah?
Ready?
Okie dokie. We are back and we are live, and I think Fernando's falling asleep because his head's dripping forward.
How is everyone? How is everyone?
Oh, there you go. Jeremy said that you're a little quieter than usual. Nah, you should have heard him earlier on, mate. You should have heard him earlier on.
Oh yeah. No, I am fully thankfully now our time, instead of 13 hours apart, we're actually just 12 hours apart. So it's actually later. So I am more awake.
I don't know what's going on with the chat. The end of it is just out of whack, and I have adjusted it, but it's just not adjusting. So I don't know. Anyway, I suppose if I move it over a little bit, doesn't matter if we lose people's. There we go. That's the best you're getting in with the chat, guys. So before we get going and I don't. You put in the post what the topic is tonight, didn't you? I'm talking to
No, I
you,
didn't.
Fernando.
No, I didn't. No, I
No,
didn't.
all right. Oh, well, we'll get into that in a minute. But I just wanted to have a little bit of a chat. Everybody knows our friend Jay from the Enfield Demon House in Connecticut. Well, things aren't going too well over there at the moment. So if I can ask everybody if they want to just show him a little bit of love and a little bit of support, there's a certain person which is going to remain nameless, which it's not the same person as last time when we did our pineapple episodes. It's way worse than that now. It's a person that's actually been involved in TV shows, and they are absolutely causing basically World War III in the paranormal field, to the point where everybody knows Ed and Lorraine Warren. Well, after they passed, the Warren Foundation was formed, and even the Warren Foundation are now stepping in on his behalf because these people are systematically trying to ruin anybody involved with the paranormal, teams that are involved in the paranormal, locations, and they're trying to ruin it for everybody, and it's not nice. And unfortunately, at this point in time, Jay and his family, even his girls, are being attacked something bad by this female person. And if you ask me, her eyes are too far apart, so that says it all. Yeah, so if you guys see Jay on the page or anything like that, just let him know that you're all thinking of him and showing you support and everything. But getting on to tonight's episode, tonight we are talking about Vatican Secrets Part 2. So you all know we did a good episode before, and I know Carl's going to love this because it is, well, there's some juicy stuff. Now, we talked about some of the more weird things last time, like time travel and time travel devices and things like that they might have their hands on. But Jeremy's comment. But we're going into a little bit more sort of mainstream stuff tonight. And I would like you guys to get involved in the chat as much as possible, because this is going to be a bit of a cracker. And I don't know how much Fernando knows about some of this, so we will jump straight in anyway. I've got a list, so please bear with me if I'm looking down, because there's a lot to read and I don't have a teleprompter yet. I will get one eventually. But the first one we're going to talk about is a girl that disappeared in Rome in 1983. And it doesn't sound anything to do with the Vatican or anything like that. But when you hear about some of this stuff that's going on, you're going to get right into it. We're going to cover all the popes. There's going to be a few popes covered in this one. So, well, if we get through it all, it just depends on how the conversation goes. So, anyway, 1983, this 15-year-old girl, her name was Emanuela Orlandi. Now, she's the daughter of a guy that actually works in the Vatican itself. And she was a bit of a gifted girl. She was doing music classes and things like that. And what happened was one day she finished her class and she went to catch the bus home and disappeared and has never been seen or heard from again. Now, obviously, because she resided within the Vatican walls itself, they did a bit of a investigation. Now, what has been discovered is that it appears she was picked up by one of the Vatican police. And again, names have been sort of held out of it and stuff like that. Now, this particular person, who shall remain nameless, is responsible for, and this is where it gets quite off-putting for anybody who may be religious, so I apologise, but I'm just going strictly off the facts. He was responsible for recruiting young ladies for Vatican parties. Now, when I say Vatican parties, I'm talking about Vatican parties that would make what happened on the Epstein Island look tame in comparison. So these were for people that actually were within the walls, involved in it and things like that. Now, they do believe she may have been captured, or whatever the word you want to use, then drugged up and then used as a plaything for whoever was involved, I'm not going to go into all of that, but she disappeared. Now, obviously, for years and years and years, they searched, and eventually they just didn't think they were going to get anywhere. But where this story gets really interesting is in 2018, the Orlandi family lawyer actually received a message, and where did I put that? I'm actually jumping way ahead of myself here, saying that if Emanuela was to be found, the graves at the Teutonic Cemetery is where I would look. And then there was a picture of a angel statue, and it was suggested that you look where the statue looks. So this was taken to the police, and they actually got an order to exhume 2 graves that were there because they couldn't tell specifically which one it was actually looking at. There was 2 that they worked out it was going to be. So they exhumed these graves, and remembering these are actually on Vatican grounds, and it was actually, one was a princess or something that died in the 17 or 1800s, and then the other one was another girl of some note. Now, they dug up both graves, and there was no sign of this Emanuela. But there was also no sign of both the girls that were supposed to be buried there. The graves were both empty. And they decided to dig down a little bit further to see if there was anything a bit deeper down. When they hit something very solid. Now, what they found was basically a hidden chamber underneath the graveyard that had been in the recent past built. Now, they couldn't really put an age on it, but it wasn't that old. And they were able to get down into this chamber, and the chamber was empty as well. But there were signs that something was there and it had been moved. So after that, they tried to obviously follow where it went and stuff. And I'll lose a little bit of track of where the history of it all goes, but they eventually came across another chamber which was much older, but it was absolutely filled to the brim with human skeletons. And they started grabbing grabbing all these skeletons, and they're in the, even now at this point in time, they are processing these skeletons. So far, they haven't got a DNA match on this girl Emanuela, but some of these skeletons they've dated at only 5 years old, and then they go as far back as 500 years so far. So what is going on? It actually leads towards some sort of murder happening within the grounds of the Vatican itself. Now, what happened then is in 2019, there was some other information that came up about it. And again, it didn't lead to anything. But the last update that I found is in I'm just looking at Carl's comments. In 2023, so last year, they actually intercepted a text between 2 cardinals and Pope Francis. And in this, it mentioned that they were able to get the contents of the chamber out before the graves were exhumed, and it has now been hidden in a different tomb, so it can't be found. So we don't know what that item is. So how about that for a secret? What's going on there? There's probably about 10 secrets in one, just in that one comment. So what have we got in the chat on that one? Let's have a look.
I mean, this is all new to me, so I am reading as you speak, and it's there's actually a new article that came out regarding the brother of Emanuela.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually, when was this? As early as February 5th of this year, last month,
Yeah.
he came out and he was talking about um, basically the brother reveals a letter from a senior Vatican cardinal a decade later suggesting Emanuela was in London and apparently requesting the help of a official of the British government in ending her unexpected pregnancy.
Mm.
So that's just, I wonder if somebody who wasn't supposed to did something to this girl, got her pregnant, and it's probably the reason what led to her disappearance.
I wouldn't be surprised with all the stuff that's been in the news about priests and things like that in this day and age. So, I, it's you know what I mean. You just can't put anything out of the question. You know, don't. There's so much more that I've got to go through, but that I thought was a good place to start because it's still an ongoing thing now, and it's yeah, they've got to prove that it's her. I would have thought that would have made the news because obviously there was a big murder investigation and stuff like that. So if that is the girl in London, they would have to have definitive proof that it's her, and then there'd be a hell of a lot of questions about where she's been since 1983. You know what I mean? It's a long time, and yeah. So the next one, we're going right back to the start. We're going back to the source. Jesus Christ, if he existed, I don't know. I'm not going to go there. That's for everybody else to decide. But
What?
Pete, oh mate, don't get me. I've got some shit down here. Eh? Really, I may not have actually written it all down, but anyway, you know, Peter the apostle, one of the 12 apostles. He became known as Saint Peter, and then he was the first pope. Now, same thing as JC. He ended up, the Romans were going to crucify him. Now, he turned around and he said, I don't deserve the same death as Jesus Christ, so please crucify me upside down. So he was crucified upside down, right? That is where the inverted crucifix first came from. It's not actually a demonic or a evil thing. It was to represent St. Peter. So if you see somebody with an inverted cross off their necklace, don't automatically assume that they're a devil worshipper or something like that. It's just, I mean, it's the same thing with the pentagram and stuff. You know, when you invert it, they say it's the opposite meaning, and it's not the case in every instance. So
That is very interesting. That's the first time I heard it because, I mean, even, we see this upside down crucifix, all over Hollywood as far as
yes,
something demonic when
and
you see movies and everything.
that's one of. I think they said Beyonce was seen with an inverted thing, and they were. She's an
The Super
occultist
Bowl that
and
just
stuff.
passed.
Yeah,
Super Bowl that just passed. So what's this? I don't know. I was about to say something, but I forgot her face. I don't hear her music, but she was with what's the other person's face? Taylor, what's her face? Swift.
Jeremy's got firing away there. Yeah, oh mate, if you were in here, mate, we got so much more we could have talked about, but yeah. There's so many other things. We talked about a lot last time we did this show about forbidden texts and this and about that and everything else. Yeah, Carl's saying the Nazi symbol is misrepresented. Again, if you invert that, it's actually from one of the Indian, like Hindu or something like that. It's one of their symbols, the actual swastika inverted. It's because you see that, and it's not at all. Again, Nazis inverted it and they adopted it as their symbol. So, but did you know? Right? Okay, here we go. Back written in the 1500s was the Devil's Bible. Now, this is, there's only one little bit of this which is sort of conspiracy because, where are we? A Benedictine monk was found guilty of some sin, and back then it was a horrible, torturous death that they had, and what it was that they would be sealed in a windowless room, and the door would be bricked up behind them, and they would be left just to rot. That was it. That was the punishment. Now, he didn't want to do this. So he turned around and he goes, look, I will write you the best and the most beautiful, fully illustrated Bible you've ever seen in one night if you don't you don't do this torture. So they said, okay, you do that. And obviously part of the way through the night, he realized he was not going to get to do this. Now, what it's believed is that he then sold his soul to the devil and asked the devil to help him write it. And apparently the devil came up and agreed to it, and he went, boom, in an instant, there was a full Bible. And they reckon even today, it is one of the most beautifully illustrated Bibles ever seen. Now, it goes into a lot of stuff which the church got, yeah, we're not having that freaking released, not a hope in hell. But there's a whole section in the middle of it. And in fact, he illustrated the devil actually illustrated himself in the middle of this Bible. And there's actually 10 pages that are missing from the book.
Of course,
in the middle of the book, just before this picture of them. So they believe that the church destroyed them because they believe in these pages that, well, it was written in the 1500s, and what the church said was in 1697 there was a fire which destroyed these 10 pages. So my question is, how does a Bible decide which 10 pages at the middle of a bloody encyclopedia to burn? Huh? You've got a big closed book. Oh, I'm going to take those 10 pages and burn those in the middle without affecting the rest of the book? No.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's pretty difficult to do because, you would think that if you are reading a book and there's a page missing, you would notice, wait a minute.
Well,
there's something missing here.
Yeah. And again, even if you've got a book open and it's going to burn the top 10 pages that are there, sure, you can accept that. But there would be signs on the pages underneath where it was burnt. It just doesn't automatically stop. And if that was the case, well, who's reading these 10 pages about how to summon the devil? That book is hidden in the Vatican archives for no eyes to see. So.
Oh, man. I mean, as of right now, I believe.
Oh, Jeremy said one of his comments got censored by YouTube.
What? Hey,
he's been a naughty boy.
They're listening. I mean, it only says we got 4 people watching, but the YouTube, they have a whole team that don't count as people.
Yeah, at least come in the chat if you're going to be watching it and you're going to be. Not sure. We want the views. But yeah, so what do you think about that? The Devil's Bible. I'm not talking about the Satanic Bible because I mean, I shouldn't be saying it, but I've actually got a copy of the Satanic Bible and a different book of the demons and everything. There's supposed to be 3 books that, if read in a certain combination, can actually summon the devil or summon demons and things like that. I've got 2 of those books, but I actually haven't even read them because I don't know why. I just needed to have them, but I wasn't going to read them. So I still, to this day, haven't read them. So.
I mean, I would completely understand. I mean, I don't know if I would actually have such a thing, without worrying if there's any consequences.
I don't want to read.
Everybody's saying, yeah, do it. Just read it.
Yeah, Mark's going to read it. Yeah, bugger off. I'm the one that cops the crap if it does, but... That being said, I don't know why I've still got them if I'm not going to read them. You know what I mean? But all right, here's another one. Yeah, go on.
It's a collectible.
Yeah. What if we read one each?
That would actually be some sort of a
Trinity thing,
loophole within the curse that follows.
Unless that's how it's supposed to be bloody read. 3 blind mice sat in a row reading the bloody thing, and then all hell breaks loose, quite literally. So yeah, okay. Moving on. Now we all talk about different things that have been hidden in the Vatican archives, and we talk about books and things like that. Now there are other objects as well. And I think in the last one we talked about I can't even remember the name of it now. The Corona visor or the Corona such and such. It was a device that could technically, like a TV, could look back in time and you could tune into a specific historical event and it could actually show you it. I don't know. They do believe they've got one of those in there, but did you know that they actually have a real angel bound and chained in there?
Jeez.
Apparently, according to rumors, they have a whole section there where they've got artifacts and they've got all sorts of things, but they say they actually have an angel down there which is fully chained. All the wings are changed just so they can prove that there's definitive proof that angels exist, but it's only for the Vatican eyes. It's not for anybody else.
I'm sorry, but that's kind of sadistic. I mean, if you would think, we're not talking about aliens, we're talking about angels, and we're not just talking about demons. I mean, we're talking about angels. You have one locked up in your basement.
Well, it's not that they're supposed to be the voice of God on earth and stuff like that. So, one of his angels, you're going to keep chained up. Who else do you think that they're going to be making deals with if they've got an angel chained up? Because he's not going to be bloody happy if he gets out. Well, he's not going to be happy anyway, and if an angel is an eternal soul, is he going to be chained up forever? At some point he's going to get out. If they exist.
I mean, if they do have one chained up, I'm just, wondering when is the team to come in to help. What's it called? That team, that flies in to try and get save some people to get them out.
I've got no idea what you're talking about. The A team?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
The A team?
Sure, let's call them the A team. Mr. T and all.
Yeah. What'd you talk about, fool? Yeah. So yeah, there's all sorts of forbidden texts and things like that, which I don't know. What else have we got? Let me have a look. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Do you know that the aliens know more about the aliens? Far out. The Vatican knows more about aliens than the actual American government does.
Damn. I mean, after the show that we recorded with everything that we saw, heard, that's a little hard to believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they reckon that, and again, they do, and this could actually this could tie into that angel thing, that they reckon they have actual alien EBEs in captivity at the Vatican as well. So would that be the angel? Because technically an angel is not of this earth. So while they call it an angel, I think a lot of people by definition would call it extraterrestrial because it's from outside of our world.
That is true.
That's correct,
I would assume, though, that due to the religious location that's in, I think they would see the difference. I believe,
Well, put it this way, right? In the 1930s or something like that, a UFO crashed in Italy, and the government kept it, and it ended up in the hands of the Vatican. I think it was back in the days of Mussolini, the Second World War, when that was ending and stuff. And they actually spoke to the Americans and asked the Americans to take it, which the Americans gladly did. But they're actually saying that the Vatican is the real Area 51. The actual Area 51 in the Nevada desert is just a patsy now. Because while everybody's looking there, the real stuff's happening over here.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Area 666.
Oh, there was all sorts of stuff about the 666 and where that came into it all from as well. And that goes back, did you know that December 25th isn't Jesus Christ's birthday?
Yeah. I actually heard something that he was born in the summer.
Well, it's summer over here on December 25th, so that doesn't count. But no, if you look back through Egyptian history, right? Oh God, who was it? Not Anubis. It was not Isis. I've actually forgotten which one of the Egyptian gods it was now, but this Egyptian god was born on December 25th. When he died under similar circumstances as like a crucifixion kind of thing, and he resurrected 3 days later. But this happened 3,000 years before Christ was even born. Over 5,000 years ago that happened. And that's documented in the hieroglyphics and things like that. So that is a written word, and it's like... Because, I mean, obviously there's no definitive proof of anything to do with him. But it's like the whole thing was plagiarized from the Egyptians.
That's great.
Jeremy's just found a load of stuff on the pyramids, which actually, funny enough, leads directly into my next point, which is really good. But we can finish. Let's have a quick flick back through the chat. Someone created pestilence.
Yeah, I found a lot of information on this website. We already mentioned, or you already mentioned, one of the conspiracies of the Vatican secret archives tells us that Jesus does not exist.
Yeah, there's so many conflicting things down there. There's another thing which you go into down here. Now, we've talked about it before, how in the... Oh, God, have I got it in here? In 1684, right? Originally, there were 80 books in the Bible in total, right? That went from the Council of Nicaea right through to the 1600s. Now, in 1684, 14 books were removed from the Bible by the Vatican because they didn't follow the narrative that they wanted. They're known... So there's 66 books in there now, and the missing books are known as the Apocrypha. And these are all books which are... They portray Jesus Christ as a normal person, more human and not divine, or whatever the correct term is. And they wanted it removed because obviously if Jesus Christ was just a person, there was nothing special about him. So why can we say that, Jeremy's talking about the Torah, which again, that's a different thing again, but they are also in the Gnostic segment. But in the Apocrypha, one of these books is the Gospel of Mary, which is obviously the one about Mary Magdalene. Now, in this, it actually suggests that Jesus actually had a different name. They coined him as Jesus in the 1600s or something like that. He had a name of Yahushua or some weird thing, and not Jehovah or any of that. It was a different name before that. Now, in these ones, he was depicted as a normal person, a sexual person, so he was a bit of a deviant, and he took a fancy to Mary Magdalene. They got married and they had kids. So that ties into Dan Brown. All that Yahweh is something different. It ties in nicely there to the Dan Brown about the Holy Grail being the bloodline of Christ. Now, this also ties into, there's actual documented proof that it wasn't actually Jesus that died on the cross. They reckon he was hung up and crucified, right? But that was in the afternoon. As it got dark, they reckon that they snuck up, cut him off the cross, and put somebody else up there in his place to die for it. They reckon these are in some of these books, right? So he never died for man's sins. So that doesn't make him special in that. And then you tie that in with the stuff that he was a bit of a womanizer and he liked to get a little bit of action on his weekends off from his woodworking or whatever he did. And yeah, he's not. He was just, if he did exist, he was just a man.
I mean, that would explain that the Vatican archives is the home to the largest collection of pornography. I'm seeing it right here. I'm seeing it right here.
Well,
some conspiracy theorists believe that the Vatican.
Did you not hear my previous comment about the parties at the Vatican?
Yeah. I mean, but they're like, yeah. Museum of Erotica confirms these.
Oh man, we're gonna get banned for this one, aren't we? We're gonna get banned.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
These are not our personal opinions. These are just things that we found on the internet. That just let anybody know before you ban us. At least watch this bit.
This is public information, so we shouldn't get in trouble.
Shouldn't doesn't mean it wouldn't.
But aside from all of that, I was raised in a very strong Catholic family, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't really believe too much into religion. Well, maybe not that. I just don't believe that what the church portrays God and Jesus to be isn't really necessarily that way. I do believe that there's a higher power.
Yes.
But I don't believe that, it's this. Right? So the more that I read into it, for example, we all know and recognize the statue of Mary, with the crown, the lady, whatnot. And I, after reading just reading, like, it's like, it has the title of Mary, but it's actually called, this lady is called Fatima.
Fatima, yeah.
I'm like, what? I didn't learn this in Catholic school.
Oh, there's lots they don't teach you in school. I actually, one of the things I did discover is that I'm actually a Protestant. I didn't know that. And when I go by that, what I mean is, obviously back in the 1500s, England was still under Roman Catholic control. And King Henry VIII, he wanted to marry, I think it was, or divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry the next one. He had 8 wives, whatever it was. Or he had however many wives he had. He was apparently as big a womanizer as Jesus Christ. But, we won't say that. Anyway, what happened was he wanted divorce because he wanted to marry somebody else. And because it was a Roman Catholic thing, he wrote to the Pope asking to divorce his wife. She said no. She said no. He said no. And that's what ended up splitting England. They denounced anything to do with Roman Catholics, and then he started his own Church of England, which is, I was christened into the Church of England, which apparently are classed as Protestants. Now, obviously then he remarried and he did all of his stuff like that. But in these documents, in the secret archives, they've got all the letters and everything from Henry VIII to the Pope and everything. So there's so much stuff recorded in the history there. It's really interesting, So you've got that. And there's actually the letters from, and again, we've talked about this before, the, how I told you about the Knights Templar?
Okay.
How they were branded as heretics and they were all killed off on Friday the 13th of, October 1307, blah, blah, blah. That's when they were all picked up. And then the following years when they all started getting burnt at the stake and things like that. Well, the actual documentation is there in the archives that it was actually King Philip IV of France, Philip the Beautiful, they used to call him. He was getting worried that the Templars were getting too, and I've spoken about this before, they were getting too rich and too powerful, and he owed them too much money, so he wanted rid of them. And he made these stories up about them being heretics and this, that, and the other. And then they sent the letter off to the Pope wanting it all done. All these documents are still there. The Pope actually knocked them back. The Pope said no. But it went ahead, and Pope Clement, the whatever, and he went ahead and had them all killed, or they reckon 90% of them were killed. A lot got away. So it's interesting that they still have all of this documentation. So how many other things have the church been involved with in secret that they still have the records for, but they just don't want to let anybody know?
Well, this is a freaking wormhole that you just threw me into. No life vest. I'm just falling.
Go on.
So apparently, with Fatima, and as you mentioned, Pope, was his face?
Pope, what's his face?
Well, Pope was his face. Anyway, so apparently there are 3 secrets of Fatima.
Yeah, the 3 secrets of Fatima by the 3 kids in the shepherd kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Portuguese shepherds, Lucia Santos and her cousins Hansita and Francisco.
Jeremy said the word.
There are 3 secrets that involves.
Yep, I know them.
Hell.
The first one was the first one was a very graphic image of hell and what it was all about. That was hidden away because it was too graphic. Yeah, the second one was about the Second World War and Hitler and everything like that. And the third one, she did not want to release. The girl didn't want to release it. And the church were pleading with her to release it. And she said, no, I won't. But eventually I believe it was 1943, the Pope ordered her, or the church ordered her to release the 3rd secret of Fatima. And that was all to do with the apocalypse and all this other stuff. And I'll let you talk about that in a minute. But she wrote it down on a letter and put it in an envelope and sealed it and said not to be opened until 1960. I don't know if they waited or not, like kids wait until Christmas. I don't know what happened after that, but continue.
No, you're actually on point. I feel. I mean, everything what you just said, was it off the top of your head, or did you remember something? Because you.
No. I've studied all of this a long time ago.
I'm like reading while you talk, and then I caught myself reading exactly what you were saying.
No.
Besides the 1960, it was actually 1957. And the third, well, it says here that the 3 secrets is Hell, World War I, and World War II.
Oh no, it's a bit different to that.
So the 3rd secrets from Fatima. I mean, you said the 2nd secret was World War II.
Yeah.
And the 3rd secret controversy was World War I.
It's about the Armageddon, the revelations, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's actually about. Now, it actually ties in with another secret that they have hidden away, and that is they actually denounced one of their very religious people back in the 1500s. I can't remember the exact year. But he was pretty high up in the church, but he was a bit of a seer, and he started seeing things very much like any other prophet, and he wrote all of these things down. Now, you know how every one of these people that can see the future, they all have their certain way that they do things. Well, his was a line of popes. He said there will be 113 popes, I do believe. And I'm not sure if that's in total or from a certain point. And they were able, all of the popes, they were named up to a certain point. And obviously that, I'm not sure that's when he got locked away because of this, but they kept these documents because what he said was after the 113th pope, that's when the end of the world, that's when revelations will take place. Now, do you want...
Wow, if that doesn't give you the shivers, I mean...
Yeah, we're in the end times. And if you want to tie that in with everything else, they talk about the final battle happening at Armageddon, which is where they get the term Armageddon as in the end of everything. The Armageddon is back in olden days, was a location in the Middle East, which is pretty much in the area where Israel, Gaza, and all that stuff is happening right now. So what's happening there right now? And we're at the last pope on the list. Is that the start of it all? He's stumped.
No, I'm just putting a lot of pieces together now, like puzzle in my head. I mean, my gears might not run as fast as others, but
they're ticking away.
With everything that's going on now, I mean, everybody's right now is talking about potential World War III, and then just finished reading about, the Fatima's secret, it just kind of,
it does tie in. It does tie in, and anybody that doesn't research this stuff can look at all of these different events as just separate events, but when you look into the history of it all, and then especially when you see, you look at all these different prophets and a lot of the stuff that they've said is going to happen. There's one guy, he turned around, this was a Scottish prophet. He talked about when I can't remember, it was the 7th bridge over a certain river was going to be built. Once that was completed, that would be the indicator of the end times coming, and that was built last year. So that's one separate. Then when you take into account the fact that the Pope that we have now is the last on the list, I mean, this is all pie in the sky stuff, but you've got to put faith into these things if you want to believe them. Now, I think a lot of this stuff can be self-fulfilling prophecy type stuff, you know what I mean? And you think about it, we're putting all these things together, and you tie in with what's going on in Israel and things like that. That fits the narrative for this. And then you look at these things, well, that fits in there. Does that make you believe every person that says they're a fortune teller and they can see the future and stuff like that? Nostradamus, he talked about so many things, but not to be classed as a heretic, he put them all into these quatrains, which were so vaguely worded that even half of them now still haven't been deciphered, and you can't put the facts to them until the events have actually happened, and then you go, that's what it's all about. Is that the same thing that's going on now? Are we just seeing things that aren't there, or was there somebody in the church that did have that power and they did see this stuff? I mean, you think about Nostradamus, and he talks about the dead will walk the earth, right? I'm assuming they didn't have meth and all those other things back then. If he was literally looking in that little bowl of water and seeing visions of the future, if you're looking at a whole load of meth heads walking around, to somebody 500-600 years ago, would that look like the dead walking the earth?
That would definitely look like that, especially with the fentanyl issue that we're having now.
Yeah, that's really messed up, that stuff. And that's what I'm saying is, a lot of it is worded the way they would word it in the day. So you've got to take that into account when you're trying to do these translations as well. I mean, it goes back to von Daniken when he talked about the book, The Chariots of the Gods. It doesn't make sense, but when you look at it as somebody who lived back, say, in Roman times, when all of their kings and whatever, they would travel around in these chariots because they were kings and they could do that. Well, if you see a chariot coming down in the sky, because all the gods lived in the skies, if they seen these UFOs and things coming down, the only way they would have a point of reference is to call them the chariots with the gods in them. So the chariots of the gods is a definition of, the sky people coming down. So again, you've got to look at it, break it all down, and God, how many other? I mean, I've actually already run out of some of the things. I ran out a long while ago, but apparently the secret archives, there's over 50 miles of shelving full. These are just the shelves. These aren't the rooms where they keep the angels chained up and they keep the alien spaceships and they keep the aliens and stuff like that. These are just the shelves. There's over 50 miles, over 80 kilometers worth of shelving full of banned, forbidden texts and things that they do not want the people seeing. Now, I know people that have been down there. Right? I know a person that's been down there and actually said some of these. They have now changed the rules that to do this, to get into the archives, you have to be over 75 years old. And you have to be cleared and stuff like that as a scholar, because they reckon that you're going to die soon anyway.
Jeez, you have to be 75?
You have to be 75 now to go down into those forbidden archives. Unless you're the Pope, I guess. But any scholars or stuff like that do get clearance, you have to be a minimum 75 years old. I don't know when that came in, because the person that I know that's been down there is not 75. Might be now, but wasn't back then. So,
I mean, jeez. I mean, man, could you imagine just having access and just seeing all the stuff they have down there?
I think we're giving Mark a headache. He's thinking too much now.
Yeah. Oh. Oh man.
I hope you're all going to sleep well tonight. You'll have lots going on in your head. And now you'll be going to be watching the news and you're going to be thinking about this show and going, that's what they're talking about.
For real, right?
Mm?
I mean, yeah.
You're all going to start
definitely
reading Revelations now to find out what's coming. They talk about, how they talk about when the fifth trumpet sounds, they'll release the plagues on Earth or something like that. And they talk about these locusts. They're not just normal locusts. They reckon that they have stingers on them, almost like scorpions, but the sting is 100 times worse than a scorpion sting. And these locusts won't kill you because they want you to feel every bit of pain. They'll just keep stinging and stinging and stinging, and you're going to feel every single bit of the pain until they go. And then when the next thing comes through, that's when you go hooty and disappear. Well, that's what I'm assuming. I haven't gone through it all, because you got the stuff about the seven seals, and you got the stuff about as the trumpets blow, and then the four horsemen, of the apocalypse, and all that sort of stuff. There's so many different stories that I don't even think the Vatican can keep them all straight.
Well, I mean, like, if we're trying to, as far as conspiracy theories are concerned, I mean, a lot of this stuff, just like the Bible, it depends on how you see it. Right. So let's say, you mentioned the plague.
Yeah.
I mean, would that be something considered as what we just went through with COVID?
You could look at it as one of the signs.
Yeah. About the locusts, wasn't there something that happened not too long ago that there are fields of food being?
Yeah, we get them. No. But this is one of the things. If you actually read it, right, the order from God apparently is to afflict all the humans that are not true believers do not touch the food or do not touch the water or anything like that. So they are literally only targeting non-believers. They're leaving all the food alone because they want you to live and feel every bit of pain. And then obviously once all the non-believers are gone, the true believers still need food. So that's what I had heard when I was going through some of this stuff. I mean, some of it I watched on video, some of it I've read, and like I said, I've been looking at this for a long time. I've always been interested in the Book of Revelation. It's the only bloody book in the Bible that's actually worth reading, but as far as I'm concerned. And that's only to find out how it all ends. You know what I mean? And it's supposedly not an end. It's just the start of a new age. And again, everything that you read has been like what we're talking about. We're talking about it in a literal sense. It could be a metaphoric thing. We just don't know until it happens. You know?
Man.
And
I mean, you know, talking about food, there wasn't like last month or two, like a farm that had over whatever amount of cows that was, you know, producing, you know, milk for, you know, for half of the world. Didn't they all just got burned, and a bunch of these cows, you know? So basically we are seeing that food is being, and apparently anything you eat nowadays kills you.
yeah. Even the air you breathe is killing you.
Yeah, so you know, let's not talk about the prices of food going up.
Oh, the pricing is killing everybody there. Got to sell your soul for a tank of gas.
Oh man, that's shoosh.
Yeah. Oh God, I had something else that I was going to say as well. I just can't remember it now. Oh, hang on. Let's have a flick through the chat and see what everybody's talking about. The Bible also states that the end is mentioned in the beginning of it. Yeah, the end is the beginning, and vice versa. Personal interpretation. Yeah, I agree with that. Metallica, Four Horsemen. The church has been telling people that we are in the end of days for the last 30 years. Yeah, but now all the things that are happening in the world are lining up with some of these prophecies that are happening, which makes you think, well, are we closer to it? We actually, you know, will we be in the pre-runner to the end of days? And is this the end of the days, or is it all just going to be a whole load of shit and everybody's seeing stuff and reading stuff into these prophecies that isn't there? You know, and that's a big thing that could possibly be happening. But so, yeah, we have to acknowledge that. You know, it could just be all a bloody big coincidence or whatever, you know. Or is the New World Order orchestrating this whole thing, and it's not a coincidence, it's exactly going to plan? And is the church actually, is the Vatican actually the New World Order? Or are they controlled by the New World Order?
Well, I just read something right over here that's, where is it? Come on, man. That the Vatican is actually controlled by the Illuminati.
I have heard that. I don't know whether you would say controlled by or whether they are the Illuminati.
So
the enlightened ones, because they always say they're enlightened. You know, there are, and they are controlling a hell of a lot.
And you know, they do have somewhat of a power, because you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, let's say all the world leaders gets, you know, into a room to discuss, let's say, you know, for example, and I'm just going to throw a movie out there, Independence Day, when we're being attacked, the whole world is being attacked, and all of these world leaders get together.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will survive. Sorry.
Oh, that's the best speech ever. But let's just say if the Vatican actually has all of these, you know, very important secrets,
yeah,
why hasn't you know, anybody in power try and recover some of these secrets that might be, I don't know, helpful.
Well, let me put it to
Like,
you. Let me put this to you, right? Who is more powerful? You think about it, right? What is power and what does it mean? You look at well, the president of the United States is not particularly been a good example over the last couple of presidencies, but take into account the president of the US, right? Controls all the armed forces and everything. Powerful man, yeah?
you would assume so.
Okay. Now look at the Pope. He controls the faith of everybody who's faithful. Now who is more powerful?
I mean, we're talking about, people that has the largest collection of pornography here. So,
That is not that is not deflecting from what I am talking about one bit. I mean, you want power? You want power? They'll stop everybody seeing their pornography, or is that their personal collection? I don't know. But what I'm talking about here is a person's faith is more powerful than a president ordering people to do stuff, right? President orders the guys in the missile silo to push the button. They do it, yeah? What if those people in that silo are all Catholics and they're all people of faith, and the Pope says, no, don't do it? Where does that does a person's faith or a person's orders? I mean, okay, they'll probably send somebody in and shoot them and push the button anyway, but you know what I mean? It's not only a moral dilemma, it's a faith thing, it's a this, it's a that, faith is a very powerful thing, more powerful than dollars. So let's face it, anybody who's faithful is throwing all their money at them anyway.
That is Jesus.
That's don't take. Yes, that is Jesus. That's what we're talking about.
I mean, damn.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's that's a lot to think about because with all the BS that's going on around the world, and apparently the US loves being in wars, makes you really question who's the one behind it.
Well, I've always said there's always if you ever watch any president who's in the shit, a war will suddenly pop up from somewhere because they get a lot more publicity if they are fighting something. Take for instance 9/11. It turned him around, even though there is a video of him. I think when the security guard comes and mentions in his ear that you needed some shit's going on, and he's talking to the kids in the school, and he's got holding the book up as he's reading to the kids. But if you look at the book's actually upside down. So I don't.
Okay.
So he wasn't actually reading it.
So I'm pretty sure it was, because I'm telling you, for me to pay attention to politics, like you really gotta be like I almost cursed, but but for me to pay attention to politics, something's going on, to a point that I noticed. So I believe it was President Bush, right? Wasn't it President Bush? I don't even recall who the president was during 9/11.
George Bush Jr.
I couldn't care less. It was.
Yeah.
All right, but didn't they use something like this? Was it? Oh, in Pixels, the movie Pixels, that everything was. That everything was going to shit basically, and then the president was reading a book. I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, I mean, it makes you think like who's really in control? Because if you put it in the aspect of all of these presidents or even leaders around the world, because how many religions are there? I mean, because
Well,
apparently it's just the same higher power depicted differently across, depending from what region you're at.
this is my big thing about religion, and I've talked about this when we talk about demons and things like that. I get that word that I don't like. Uh, Religion is a point of view as far as I'm concerned, because if you look at every holy book, you have the flood, you have the this, you have the that, you have your angels, you have your demons, you have your jinn. You know what I mean? So in every religion, you've got your emissaries of good, and you have your emissaries of evil. So Christianity and Catholicism call them angels, and they call them demons. In Islam, they call them the jinn, good jinn, bad jinn. They're all just jinn. I mean, you got to remember, demons were once angels that were fallen. So basically, angels and demons are the same thing as well. So good angels, bad angels, same as good jinn, bad jinn. They're the same thing. They all talk about the flood. Now, that goes back to another secret of the Vatican as well. When talking about and this goes back to Abrahamic law and stuff like that, what happened was, the reason the flood happened is because you've all heard about the Nephilim and things like that. And the Watchers were angels that were sent down to watch over the human race, make sure it all went in the right direction. But these angels ended up falling for some of the women, so they came down into corporeal being, and they ended up doinking the women, and they had kids that turned out to be big giants. The giants are what they call the Nephilim. God was very unhappy with them all, so he ended up turning around and the good and the righteous, which happened to only be the one family, which was Noah's family. They're told to obviously build the ark, grab all the animals, grab all the food, make your big ship. And he created a flood to drown all the Nephilim. Now, that's the law, what's in the Bible, whatever. They actually now saying that there's that, there's that rare blood type, rhesus negative or something like that. I can't remember what they call it. They actually believe that what happened was, when the Nephilim were there, then they mated with other women, and the bloodline, diluted as it went away. So they actually reckon there are still on this earth, because not everybody died. It wasn't just Noah's family; other people survived as well. But which again is not what the Bible wants you to believe. But
Yeah,
they
what?
reckon
It wasn't just Noah?
No, his kids as well and his missus. So there was a lot of incest going on to repopulate. But stop it! Don't make me laugh. I'm trying to concentrate. This rhesus negative they think is. Me microphone's wobbling. That's what she said. The rhesus negative is the. Oh, God. You're making me talk to the man upstairs now. They reckon that they're the offshoot of the sons and daughters of the Nephilim. So they're still around, and that's why we're still in the shit, so to speak, because they're still around and they still need to be wiped out. So it's interesting, very interesting. You're quite right.
I mean, it was just a chain of events that just happened back to back right now.
I think we're gonna have to go in a minute. We've gone over an hour, but has anybody else got anything to say in the chat? Where are we? We've got anarchy. We've got the government is God. I thought it said the government is good. Oh, what the hell? First, you've got to get the money. Yes, we work our bums off for a bit of money, and then they take it back super quick with all the bloody taxes and everything. So, where are we? The Bible also states that the end is. Oh, we already said that bit. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I've noticed Carl's gone quiet. We must have bored him and put him to sleep. The last word he said was yum. Because Jeremy was talking about steak. So I'm trying to think what we were talking about at the time that he went yum to it. So people are dropping off like crazy now. We're down to 3 people. think we better go before they all go now.
Well, I mean, we pretty much covered everything on here. You know, there's a
I,
lot. It is
I had so many more
there's a
that I
lot of
wanted to talk about, but apparently I didn't write them down. I only wrote a handful down. So, I mean, the big one for me was that one about the 15-year-old girl, Manuela Orlandi. That it's still an ongoing thing now, and that's actually documented. So, at least part of that story is true. Whether the church wants you to believe it or not, it is true.
I mean, the Vatican helped Nazi war criminals escaped the Allied forces. We have the Vatican made money from the Holocaust. We have it's a lot. It's a lot.
Which makes you wonder if the Nazis had backing from the church. I know that's a very naughty thing to say, but you think about it, did they have backing? Because obviously you think about it, right? The church wants you to believe that Jesus Christ is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, bearded hippie man, right? The Germans believe in the Aryan race, which are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, muscular people. But the reality is, for Jesus Christ back then to be born where he was born, he would be darker skinned, he would have brown eyes, and he would have dark hair, because that is the predominant physicality of the people that live in that area. It's not being a racist thing or anything like that. It's just people in certain areas, because of the climate and everything, are born a certain way so they can deal with that climate. You know, if you put a Pom in Israel, the Pom's a person from England like me, fair skin and everything, they'd burn to a shit in a second. You know, so it makes sense that he would not be what the church is portraying him to be, and that brings into account the whole thing to do with the Shroud of Turin and stuff. You know, is that real or is it not real? Trump's voice.
I mean, yeah, because from what I've seen or heard of, I thought that Jesus, if he actually existed, it's darker skin, how you said, black to brown hair, all of this. I mean, I would say the best depiction would be was the Passion of Christ.
Yeah, but even he wasn't dark haired. That bloody Cavill dude, whatever his name was. That was hard, but it was a good film. But I'll tell you what, a show you should watch. It's on Netflix. It's a show called The Messiah, or it's just called Messiah. It's a 1-season episode. Write that down and bloody, especially after tonight, guys. If you get it on Netflix, watch Messiah. It is absolutely brilliant, and it's about as close to what I would believe happened back then. It's all set in modern times, and what it is, it's about this guy. He is what I would picture Jesus Christ to look like if, in reality, he's a man of Middle Eastern descent, but he's a very charismatic man, and this guy turns up at these weird places and he helps somebody out who's in trouble. He ends up getting a following, but he gets a following, and these things get videoed and sent around the world, so it starts to build, and then the FBI start following him, and they think he's like a cult leader, but they keep showing you things where you go, okay, he is the second coming of Christ, and then another one you go, no, he's just a cult leader. No, he's the second coming of Christ. No, he's a cult leader. And it's one of those shows. It's a 1-season thing. They didn't do a second season of it, but the very, very, very last scene kind of leaves you thinking one thing, but it also leaves you with the possibility that it could be the other thing. And is that what happened with Jesus Christ? He was just if he did exist, was he just a charismatic, sexually active man? You know what I mean? Because you look at all the cults around today, nearly every one of them, the guy at the top gets to doink any woman that he wants to, or all of them at once if he wanted to. So, if he was a cult leader back then, maybe that was the case. And again, I'm going to get in trouble for this. We've still got 3. Oh no, we went up to 4. That's good. We're talking about sex now. We're talking about sex now. We'll start talking about boinking again. Yeah. So, if you think about it, everything in the book to do with Jesus Christ follows what you would think a cult leader's like, you know. And then you look at some of these cults, because I've been watching stuff about cults and everything as well, and yeah, after the Waco, Texas cult fire, well, Waco, not Waco. Yeah, so it's interesting stuff. XYZ. Oh, that's an interesting name. Who might that be? They're coming in right at the end. So yeah, what do you think? You know, was he a cult-like leader back then?
I mean, he definitely was a martyr for a huge movement to follow as far as faith is concerned.
Yeah. And the problem is with cult leaders in this day and age, they are just trying to emulate his success. They're not being their own kind of thing.
Yeah, that is for sure. So, I mean, I would actually throw it out there, you know, I might get in trouble for this, or, you know.
Oh, come on, after everything we've said tonight, you're the one that's going to get in trouble?
Well, you know, it is your podcast. I'm just saying. But who's not to say that the idea of Scientology started off as a group of, you know, apparently it was with
science
a guy
fiction
named
writer
Steve or something, right?
Hey,
Apparently it started off with a guy named Steve, right? Like,
is it Steve Miscavige or whatever his name is?
Yeah. So yeah.
It actually started with L. Ron Hubbard. He's the one that formed it all, and then that Miscavige guy, he's the one that, is it David Miscavige? I can't remember his name, but he's the one that runs it all. But L. Ron Hubbard's the one that wrote it, and he's a science fiction writer. So he's a writer. He's a person of imagination. And that's all it takes to create. I mean, you look at it. Jedi is now an official religion.
Really?
Well, in Australia, when we do a census every few years, and they said to be recognised as a real religion, they need at least 10,000 people who say they're practitioners of it. So there was over 10,000 people decided when they put religion down, they put down that they were Jedi.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I would rather, you know, do that than you know, be Catholic, because there's too many. there's just too much shit going on there.
So we're waiting to see who the Grand Yoda is, but you will be. Yeah. Anyway,
Chewy.
on that really, really, really bad Yoda impersonation, I think it's time for us to go now. So, my light just died.
There you go. Oh, watch it.
There's a sign. There's a sign. There's a sign.
Too much.
All right, take it easy, everybody, and we will see you all next week. We will be back. We have more shows coming out on Tuesday, and we will be back next Friday for another live stream. So thanks for coming in, everybody, and we will see you all later. So catch you, mate.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one.